India-China thaw, what fine print of the country's statements say. In a major diplomatic breakthrough, New Delhi and Beijing have decided a slew of measures to repair bilateral ties, resuming Kailash Mansarovar Yatra this summer, restoring direct flights between the two capitals, issuing visas for journalists and think tanks, and sharing trans-border river data. A statement from the Ministry of External Affairs said on Monday. These decisions follow Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri's recent visit to Beijing, where he met China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Vice Foreign Minister Su Weidong, and Minister of International Department of CCP Liu Jianchao. While undoubtedly signaling a potential thaw in ties, the fine print of two countries' respective statements reveals some notable divergences. On the face of it, New Delhi's statement is more nuanced and cautious compared to Beijing's, which seems to have more optimistic assessment of the talks. They also highlight the two countries' overall approach. While the Indian statement emphasizes on a step-by-step approach to address areas of interest and concern, referring to the border situation, the Chinese statement emphasizes emphasis on a more long-term strategy. The two sides took stock of the extant mechanism for functional exchanges. It was agreed to resume these dialogues step by step and to utilize them to address each other's priority areas of interest and concern. In contrast, the Chinese statement said that both sides should view and handle China-India relations on the basis of fundamental interest of the two countries and two peoples and from a strategic height and long-term perspective so as to promote the development of China-India relations along the sound and stable track. Some major developments on Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, the two statements almost echo each other. Both Chinese statement reflects, but the Chinese statement reflects more urgency. The Indian statement said the two sides declared to resume the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra in summer of 25. The relevant mechanism will discuss the modalities for doing so as per the existing agreements. The Chinese statement concurred, adding that the two sides will discuss relevant arrangements as soon as possible. Direct flights, as many as 539 scheduled direct flights with the cumulative capacity of more than 1.25 lakh passengers operated between India and China each month as of 2019. They were paused during COVID-19 in pandemic and following the Galwan clash in June that year. They never resumed. On this issue, a careful reading of the two statements shows that while Delhi wants a new pact, China has linked these to visas and resident journalists. The Indian statement said they agreed in principle to resume direct air services between the two countries. The relevant technical authorities on the two sides will meet and negotiate an updated framework for this purpose at an early date. Chinese said the two sides agreed to resume direct flights between Chinese mainland and India, support the competent authorities of the two countries to coordinate and push it forward and take measures to facilitate personal flaws and exchanges of resident journalists. Currently, there is only one resident journalist in China. There is no Chinese journalist in India. Transborder rivers. On transborder rivers like Brahmaputra, both sides agreed to hold an early meeting of India-China expert-level mechanism. Will involve sharing of data, which has been an issue in recent times. Beijing in December cleared the construction of world's largest dam on the Zangpo River close to India border, triggering worries in the lower riparian states of India and Bangladesh. New Delhi said it was not informed by the Chinese side about the dam project, something that has long been the convention between the two countries, and learnt of it from media reports. Indian officials then reached out to their Chinese counterparts about sharing information in advance and consulting India and Bangladesh. Regular meetings and information sharing at the level of expert level mechanism, like the one both sides have agreed to hold on soon, can prevent such situations in the future. One of the two countries was silent on some key issues. On trade, the Indian side spelled out its concerns on market access and tariff barriers. Specific concerns in the economic and trade areas were discussed with a view to resolving these issues and promoting long term policy and predictability. New Delhi statement said Chinese statement makes no mention of this. Conversely, this on SCO, China said the Indian side will extend full support for Chinese presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and will actively participate in the meetings under the SCO umbrella. India makes no mention of this. On trade, Indian side spelled out its concerns on market access and tariff barriers. Specific concerns in the economic and trade areas were discussed with a view to resolving these issues and promoting long-term policy transparency and predictability. On SCO, China said the Indian side will extend full support for Chinese presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and will actively participate in the meetings under SCO umbrella. India makes no mention of this. Transborder river on transborder rivers like Brahmaputra, both sides agreed to hold an early meeting of India-China expert-level mechanism. This will involve sharing of data, which has been an issue in recent times. Beijing in December cleared the construction of world's largest dam on the Sangpo River, close to Indian border, triggering worries in the lower riparian states of India and Bangladesh. New Delhi said it was not informed by the Chinese side about the dam project, something that has long been the convention between the two countries, and learnt of it from the media reports. Promise of nuclear fusion. Although fusion technology has been in development for decades, progress has been slow, but recent breakthroughs have raised hope for its realization. Fusion can, in theory, solve the energy and climate crisis. An experimental nuclear fusion reactor in China last week triggered a lot of excitement by keeping its operational state maintained for more than 1000 seconds or over 17 minutes, which is a new record. Nuclear fusion is what produces the energy in the sun or any other star. Scientists across the world have been trying to recreate this process to produce electricity. This technology can eliminate the world's energy crisis and the problem of climate change, but it has not yet been mastered yet. The Chinese reactor did not produce electricity, it did not even carry out a fusion reaction. The technology has not yet reached that stage. However, the reactor managed to maintain plasma in a steady state of confinement for a long time, longer than it had previously been possible. This itself was a major step towards the dream of realizing a fusion based nuclear reactor in the near future. Fusion reactions require very high temperatures, hundreds and millions of degrees Celsius, higher than the temperatures in the sun's core. At such temperatures, matter exists only in plasma state, in which atoms get split into positively and negatively charged ions, but such hot plasma, cannot be handled or contained in any material. Within the reactor, this plasma needs to be suspended in a confined space surrounded by very strong magnetic fields acting as faults. Charged particles respond to magnetic fields, and this property is used to guide the flow of plasma within an enclosed space, separating from any matter. This condition, necessary for facilitating fusion reactions, is extremely delicate and unstable, with the tiniest of changes in the magnetic field disturbing the whole setup. Scientists have not been able to maintain these conditions for longer than a few seconds. That is why the achievement of the experimental advanced superconducting tokamak East reactor, located in Institute of Plasma Physics in Anhui district, province of eastern China, is being seen as so important. It is significant improvement on this reactor's previous record of little over than 400 seconds achieved in 2023. Real-life electricity generating reactors would require this state to be maintained for hours, even days at a stretch. Only then would continuous operations be possible, like current nuclear reactors, which are based on fission technology. Fusion technology has been under development for more than 70 years, but progress has been slow. Even the optimistic forecast, at least until a very few years ago, suggests a functional nuclear reactor. For this reason, none of global energy transition pathways for a net zero world in 2050 or 2070 a factor in the potential of fusion electricity. For this reason, none of the global energy transition pathways for a net zero world 2050 or 70 factor in the potential of fusion electricity. Each one of those pathways, incidentally, is heavily dependent on the successes of several other uncertain technologies such as carbon sequestration and carbon removal, whose technical and economic viability remains under doubt. However, the promise of fusion energy is alluring if and when it comes through other sources of alternate energy being explored like solar and wind to tackle the climate crisis are likely to become peripheral or even redundant. The fusion process produces far greater amounts of energy than any other source. 1 gram of fuel can yield as much energy as burning 8 tons of coal. It uses cheap input materials available in almost limitless supply, deuterium and tritium, two heavier isotopes of hydrogen that are used as fuel are easily available in nature, has zero emission footprint and can be set up and operated almost anywhere. In the last few years, fusion research has produced a string of breakthroughs. In December 21, United Kingdom based Jet Laboratory set a new record of in the amount of energy produced through fusion. It produced about 12 megawatt of electricity for 5 seconds, enough to cater to the demands of 10,000 homes for a period of time. A year later, reactor in the United States achieved a net gain in energy for the first time. Extreme conditions needed in fusion reactor require a very large amount of input energy. Fusion would be viable only if the output energy is significantly larger. The performance of this US reactor has improved since then. Last year, researchers at MIT said they had developed a new material that could better withstand the extreme conditions within the reactor. The feat of the Chinese East reactor in 23 and now with the are the latest additions to these successes. This week, fresh evidence emerged to show that China was building a large laser ignited fusion research center, large laser ignited fusion research centers that could also be used to develop thermonuclear weapons, commonly known as hydrogen bombs. US facility at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California, which was the first to produce net gain in energy in 2022, is based on similar technology. The recent breakthrough have triggered a big surge in interest and ambition for fusion energy, particularly among private companies which have entered the field in major way. A total of 163 fusion reactors in about 30 countries are currently in operation, under construction, or being planned, according to the Fusion Device Information System database maintained by International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA). The Fusion Outlook 23 report published by IAEA said private companies operating in this space had attracted $6.2 billion investment in that year. There were at least 43 such companies operating in more than 10 countries. Helion, a US-based company backed by tech billionaires Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, has promised to generate 50 megawatt of electricity by 2028, which will be provided to Microsoft. The company aims to become the first firm to start producing commercial electricity from fusion reactions. Another US company, Commonwealth Fusion Systems, is collaborating with MIT to generate 400 megawatt grid scale electricity by the early 2030s. ITER, the largest fusion reactor and international collaborative project called ITER, is coming up in South France. More than 30 countries are participating, with India being one of the seven member countries contributing to reactors construction and research. This project, which has been under development since 2005, is slated to become one of the world's biggest science facilities in the world. According to its current timeline, it would begin deuterium-tritium fusion reactions by 2039, producing 500 megawatt of fusion power. ITER would not be converting the output heat's energy into electricity, but its success is expected to pave the way for other machines to start using energy as a regular source of electricity generation. Dr. Indra Nil Bandyopadhyay, Group Leader, Council Support and Knowledge Management at ITER India, said 50-year timeline for nuclear fusion energy to reach commercial scales is very aggressive but not implausible. ISRO celebrates 100th launch, its journey so far of some upcoming ventures. With its first launch of 2025, ISRO's clocked a century of launches, significant milestone for the space agency. Starting from humble origins, ISRO has developed several rockets. It has carried out numerous scientific missions which provide useful data to researchers around the world. ISRO has so far developed at least six generations of launch vehicles, four remain operational. The first two generations of launches are no longer in service and saw limited use. The SLV-3, that would carry merely 40 kg to low Earth orbit, saw three development and one operational flight. Its successor, ASLV Augmented version of SLV-3 could carry up to 150 kg to low Earth orbit, so four developmental flights. It was with the third generation of PSLV, which continues to be the ISRO's workhorse. To launcher today, ISRO truly came into its own. The four-stage rocket with solid and liquid-based fuel engines is capable of carrying just under 2000 kg to low Earth orbit. Till date, PSLV has gone to space 62 times, including three development flights. Only two PSLV launches have been unsuccessful so far. PSLV was followed by GSLV, whose initial flight used cryogenic engine supplied by Russia. India later developed its own cryogenic engine, the CSLV F-15. Total utilized for 100th launch was India's 11th successful flight using indigenously developed cryogenic engines. The GSLV can carry up to 6,000 kg to the low Earth orbit. GSLV Mark III, now called LVM-3, is capable of carrying nearly 8,500 kg to low Earth orbit. It is the heaviest launch vehicle to ISRO's arsenal at the moment. The LVM-3 has thus far been used for 7 launches, all of which have been successful. It was notably used for Chandrayaan 2, 3, and modified human-rated versions of the vehicle used will be used for Gaganyaan mission. ISRO has also developed the Small Satellite Launch Vehicle to transfer the private industry to for commercial launch of small satellites. The SSLV has thus far seen three developmental flights. In its 100 launches, ISRO has placed in orbit 548 satellites weighing 120 tons in total. This includes 433 satellites weighing 23 tons that came from outside India. ISRO has launched communication satellites, Earth observation satellites, navigation satellites, and experimental satellites. With its 100th launch, ISRO put in orbit with ENVIAS 2 satellite on Wednesday. This is one of the five replacement satellites for the Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, also referred to as NAVIC, Navigation with Indian Constellation. The new generation of NAVIC satellites are heavier, have a longer mission life, carry an indigenously developed atomic clock on board, and are enabled to send signals in the L1 frequency band, something that will facilitate the greater adoption of NAVIC. NAVIC is a 7 satellites regional positioning system that can provide location data on the Indian mainland and up to 1500 7 satellite regional positioning system. 7 satellite regional positioning system, a fully functional NAVIC system with all 7 satellites and ground stations outside of India is likely to be more accurate than GPS in the region it covers, since NAVIC satellites are placed directly over India. Apart from satellites, ISRO has launched several specific scientific missions such as Space-Based Observatory AstroSat, Mars Orbiter Mission or Mangalyaan, Chandrayaan 1, 2, 3, and the Space Observatory ExpoSat and the Solar Mission Aditya L1, with ISRO targeting big ticket missions such as sample return mission from the moon, mission to Venus, setting up an Indian space station, and sending a man to moon. The space agency is working towards developing a heavy rocket called the Next Generation Launch Vehicle. NGLV will be able to carry up to 30,000 kgs to the low Earth orbit. It will also be reusable, have reusable first stage, which would be utilized 15 to 20 times. In order to make launches affordable, the Union Cabinet has greenlit the construction of third launch pad at Sriharikota for NGLV launches. The pad would be capable of launching human missions, also facilitate it increasing the number of LVM-3 launches. This would increase ISRO's capabilities to carry out heavy commercial missions. What was the role of Daman Malik in 1985 Kanishka bombing? One of the two hitmen who shot dead Khalistani separatist Daman Singh in 2022 has been jailed for life in Canada. Malik was implicated in the 1985 bombing of Air India Flight 182, which killed 329 individuals on aboard, and was the deadliest act of aviation terrorism till September 11 attacks in 2001. Malik would be acquitted in 2005. On July 14, 2022, Malik was shot dead in his car in Surrey, British Columbia. Two Canadian youth, Tanner Fox and Jus Lopez, pleaded guilty to Malik's murder. Fox was sentenced on Tuesday. Lopez will be sentenced on Feb 6. On June 23, 1985, Air India Flight 182 was on its way from Montreal to London when it disappears from radar screens while flying over the Atlantic. Near the Irish Cross, the wreckage of Boeing 747 Jumbo jet christened Emperor Kanishka was located within hours. All 329 persons on board, 268 Canadian citizens, mostly of Indian origin, 27 British and 27 British and 24 Indians were declared dead. Investigations revealed that deadly crash was the detonation of a bomb likely placed inside a suitcase in the forward cargo hold of the aircraft. Roughly an hour before the Kanishka went down, suitcase bomb went off inside the terminal building at Tokyo Narita Airport. The bomb was meant to explode aboard Air India Flight 301 from Tokyo to Bangkok, but detonated prematurely. Investigations later found the two bombings were related. Investigations concluded that bombings were orchestrated by Khalistani separatist outfit Babbar Khalsa. The attacks were retribution for Operation Blue Star, which saw the Indian Army enter the Golden Temple in Amritsar to flush out militants led by Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale. Talvinder Singh Parmar, founder of Babbar Khalsa, was the alleged mastermind of the bombings. He was killed in an encounter by Punjab police in 1992. The trial court in Canada revolved around three main accused: Tripadan Singh Malik, Inderjeet Singh Riat, and Ajaib Singh Bagri. While Riat was arrested in 1988 in UK, Malik and Bagri were arrested in 2000. Malik said to be close associate of Parmar was the alleged financer of the plot. The trial for Kanishka Bangi began in 2003. Rayat was made a prosecution witnessed against Malik and Bagri, and he pleaded guilty to assembling parts for the bombs that blew up Flight 182 in return for a 5-year sentence. But on the witness box, Rayat refused to implicate his comrades and pretended to remember nothing. The judge called him an unmitigated liar under oath. Rayat would be convicted on perjury charges in 2010 and sentenced to 9 years in jail because of his unreliable testimony and other procedural lapses by Canadian prosecutors. Malik and Bagri walked free. So that's all for today. See you in the next one.